Hello and welcome to East China Schools Today. With me today, I have two outstanding principals. I have Rachel Card, the principal of Pine River Elementary, and Robin Smith-Herr from Belle River Elementary. Thank you both for being with me today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Sure. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today is some changes that are happening, especially in elementary schools, that people may have heard of. Now, normally when we talk about schools, people think of reading and writing and arithmetic, quizzes, test scores, the traditional things you think of in a school. But that is changing, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. What are you seeing as some of the changes that are happening in the social and emotional learning for students in your schools?
We're noticing that students have a lot of anxiety, probably reflective of our society, which is very fast-paced. They're in tune to the media. Their parents are in tune to what's happening in school often before they even get off the bus. So there's just a lot of living up to expectations and a rapid society. So, adults are anxious. It's reflected in their students who are anxious as well.
The added pressures of being in school and being present and being on their game at every minute of every day. It's very competitive, fast-paced.
Mm-hmm. So when you're seeing these things in your school, what does that translate as in behaviors? So the students are anxious, they're feeling they need to compete, they're a little bit stressed. What kind of behaviors are you seeing that manifest as in your schools?
Well, everything from tears to meltdowns.
Panic attacks, anxiety attacks.
Defiance.
Mm-hmm. Just outright not wanting to participate in programs?
Shutting down.
Yes.
Shutting down. So along with the reading and the writing and the arithmetic and the quizzes and the test scores and all the things that have traditionally been important in school, the social emotional learning piece has become extremely important to reach all of our students. So could you talk a little bit about, I know you have different programs happening in each one of your schools, but how are you incorporating that social emotional learning awareness in Pine River and Belle River?
Well, we're starting with the classroom settings. If you walk into a classroom today, a lot of teachers are putting in soft lighting, they're diffusing the fluorescent lights, there's calm music in the background, you see flexible seating. It looks more like your living room than a traditional classroom. It's very comfortable.
And when you say flexible seating, what does that mean for someone who isn't in our schools very often?
Well, a student could sit in a beanbag or on the floor or be at a standing desk.
Yeah, lots of different options.
Wobble stools and balls they sit on, or the floor if they're more comfortable on the floor.
So they get to kind of choose where they would best
where they're most comfortable for learning.
Right.
Their preferences.
Yes.
Right. So are you having some of those same techniques?
One of the programs that we've implemented at Belle River is called Calm Classroom, and it's building wide, and the students and teachers participate in it 3 to 4 times a day.
3 to 4 times a day?
Yes.
Wow.
Most often after a recess or after lunch, they come in and they go right to that. It's a mindfulness practice where they're learning different techniques to help them self-regulate and get back into that mental focus. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the students lead it, sometimes the teachers lead it. They range in time 3 to 5 minutes, and the kids love it. We hear them in the halls or see them in the cafeteria, often using it themselves without being prompted.
Some self-calming or self-regulating techniques. Now, I've seen pictures on your pages for Belle River of doing yoga. Is that part of the strategies of?
Mr. Westerhoff, our gym teacher, has incorporated yoga right into the gym day, which goes right along with Calm Classroom and the mindfulness techniques that we use.
So teaching students how to best calm themselves, get themselves ready for learning using different Calm Classroom just sounds calm. It just sounds inviting, like somewhere that you would want to be. Which of these techniques are you finding that the students best respond to, of the different ways you've described to reach their social and emotional learning? Which ones are they liking?
I think that the classroom environment, being able to sit in a different arrangement on the floor or stand or sit with different students every day, just having the flexibility to be in a place. Some students like to stand to learn, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Having options has really helped support them, and they know they have some options, and there's a little bit more flexibility to their day.
And do they have the choice in those options? Do students choose, or is it more of a directed?
The students have the choice.
Yep.
Oh, that must give them a little sense of, this is my space, this is my time,
Right.
and
Some
I'm
of our
ready to learn.
teachers even have a quiet place in their classroom where the students can go over, and there might be some pillows and some hands-on type manipulatives that they can use to help calm them down. They call them a calm down box with different manipulatives in it that the students use, and they know what they need.
Wow, what great strategies to teach these students, because these are lifelong strategies. I mean, I know in certain offices we could use some calm areas.
Absolutely.
So what a neat tool. What are you finding that the teachers are best Are they responsive? This is totally different. This is, the students are not in the rows, the traditional way of doing things. You might walk into an elementary classroom and see, like you said, students sitting on beanbag chairs working on one activity, and some other students in another area working on another activity. How are your teachers responded to that?
I think they like it because they can create an environment that's comfortable for them as well. So you might see a diffuser with scented oil running in the corner. There are soft lamps and lighting, music, and so it's comforting not only to the students but to the teacher as well. So it's kind of like a family environment.
Very relaxing, and the more they see, the more they want, and they'll come and say, hey, I saw this, can we try this? And we do the best we can to
I was just
support
going
that.
to ask you that. So I know that this isn't a finite plan. Like, this is not where we stop. We're continuing to look at different ways to reach students at their social emotional learning levels. So teachers are bringing to you different ideas, like, I saw this, or I'm thinking that this would be a good integration into our school environment. That's neat.
And they're applying for grants on their own time and in their own way to fund the different activities or materials that they would like in their classroom to support their students.
Well, and I know the East China Education Foundation for the last few years has really been generous with their grant funding, and a lot of that has gone to calm classrooms or flexible seatings or different ways to reach those social emotional learning needs of our students. So shifting gears just a little bit, I know parents may have heard of the term restorative practices, which is something fairly new within the last couple of years. When a student may have had behavior that isn't quite right for a classroom, we use a restorative practice. What does that mean when we say that?
It's an opportunity for us to use a discipline situation as a way for students to see the impact of their actions and to take responsibility for their actions, and then to work with the students who have been impacted by their actions. So our goal is to work with them and not do things to them as far as discipline. It's a way to help them to repair the relationships that they may have damaged, and we're focusing more on building positive changes in their behavior rather than focusing on their deficits in their social emotional learning or their social development.
Yeah.
Seeing a lot more kindness and empathy for those students and
Empathy.
understanding.
Empathy. I think that even if you can't understand, or if you don't agree, I guess, if you don't agree with maybe a behavior, but you can understand where it came from, I think that is very beneficial to a student's social emotional learning. It's just to be empathetic of others around them. And I think that it just gives us another learning opportunity for these students, instead of being punitive and either removing them from the school environment or causing them to be segregated from the learning. We're giving them an opportunity to learn how maybe to do that behavior differently with more empathy. And I know it's hard. I know it's a change from maybe some past practices, but these restorative practices, and they're done K-12, kindergarten through our seniors, and teaching them how to correct a behavior and how to do it differently with more empathy the next time. So I wanted to touch on that just a little bit. It's all a part of this awareness of social emotional learning in our students. So we have a couple of really cool programs. We have a lot of really cool programs going on in our district, but there's two that I wanted to focus on today, and I think one of them is in each of your school buildings. So the LINKS program. What is the LINKS program?
The LINKS program was started by our social worker, Lisa Kane, and it involves students, right now, general education students going into our cognitive impaired classrooms and working with those students And the focus is on building their independence and their socialization skills.
Mm-hmm.
So the general education student might play a game with the child who has autism or a mild cognitive impairment, or work on academic tasks. And the general ed students might not just be the students who are always high achieving. They might be struggling themselves with self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So it really benefits both students in their social emotional development.
Right, that peer-to-peer
Mm-hmm.
interaction and helping each other. And then when they see each other in the hallways, or they
Yes.
may have not interacted in the past, and now they kind of feel like they're in this together.
Yes.
You know, we're in this learning process together, even though we might be on a little bit different pathways. Yes, you know, growing that empathy and doing
Mm-hmm.
that. Now, how do you select the students who get to work with either side? How are those selected?
The teachers in the general education classrooms recommend students, and like I said, they might be students who are high achieving and need some leadership opportunities, or they're students who need to develop self-confidence or to develop empathy by working with children who might have some struggles themselves.
And how long have you been doing this at Pine River Elementary?
A couple months, and we
Okay.
have about 33 second, third, and fourth grade students who are links for our students in the lower cognitive impaired classroom.
Oh, wow. And in these first few months, how's it going?
Amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing just improvement in independence and some of the skills that the students in the classroom are able to do, but just the character development. We're just seeing improvements in behavior with
You're
some
right.
of our struggling students who are benefiting from that.
Oh, that warms my heart. I just absolutely think that is an outstanding program. And then at Belle River Elementary, that you have a lunch buddy program. Can you tell
Yes.
us what that's about?
Yes, so volunteers from the community, adults, volunteer once a week to come in and enjoy lunch with a specific student. And then after they eat together, they play a game or work on a project of some sort with that student. And our teachers recommend who they feel would benefit best from having an adult lunch buddy to come in and just make them feel special.
Oh. Now, what kind of games do they play?
Sometimes board games, sometimes puzzles. It just depends on what the student likes. They try to find out what the student is interested in. Very often, the lunch buddies bring something in for the student. Not only lunch, they might bring them McDonald's or Subway for lunch. They
Something
also
special.
bring them something special, and that's what they play with for the day, and then they give it to them to take home. So
Oh, how neat. And
Yeah.
how long has this program been going at Belle River?
it was there for quite a while before I became principal, and then they took a year off. They were having trouble getting adults that could volunteer on a weekly basis, and the students become so excited, and they look forward to that once a week. And if someone can't commit every week, it's a disappointment. So we were seeing a lot of that. But this year, a couple of our parapros wanted to get it started again, and one of our retired parapros said she'd lead the brigade, and she did, and she's gotten us quite a few volunteers, and we're getting more and more as the program goes through this year.
Wonderful. So if anybody that's watching today is interested
Definitely.
in volunteering, would they contact you directly?
Yes, please call or email me, and we would love to have you.
At Belle River Elementary to be a lunch
Yes.
buddy. And what is the commitment on that?
It's about an hour a week. Some of them stay. We have lunch hours from 11 till 1:30. Some of them stay and do several lunch buddies.
Oh, okay.
Or they can just choose one and stay with, that one
Right.
child, and it would be about a 50-minute commitment.
Each
Mhm.
day. Oh, how
Once a
neat.
week.
How neat, that connection, the
Yep.
connection to the community, and having adults in our building that are not always staff is a nice thing too, to have that outside influences. So as we're talking about the programs that you've put in and the hard work and research that you've done to find the best fit for your buildings, for the different techniques, the calm classrooms, the yoga, all the different things, what other mind-body awareness practices are you using and employing in your schools?
I think we both started recess before lunch this
Yes.
year,
Yes.
which we think is going well.
Really well.
That was a big change.
Yes.
That was a big change.
It was,
Right.
but we've seen such a decline in behaviors on the playground and the tummy aches after lunch, the visits to the clinic where they don't feel good because they've eaten and then gone out to play. And they get out there and they play, they come in and are our cafeterias are calmer and just enjoying each other's company and ready to
So
go back to class.
So instead of eating recess before lunch, so they go outside and play,
Yes.
get their energy out, have a lot of fun, and then come back in, have a nice lunch or have their lunch, and then they head to the classroom.
Teachers pick them up.
Whereas before they would eat and then go outside.
Yes.
So I'm just guessing, but you probably had a lot of students that were hurrying through
Yes.
lunch
Yes.
so that they could get outside to play. And so, okay, that's neat. What are some other mind-body awareness?
We do, a lot of teachers have brain breaks in the classroom where students will stop and do, there's a website called Go Noodle that's very popular, and it might just be a dance that students do or some kind of a physical activity just to shake out the wiggles or, you know, mentally or physically prepare for the next cognitive activity.
We have a sensory room at Belle River that was grant funded, and it's painted blue like under the ocean, and there's very calming, there's ocean animals on the wall. It's very calming music and lights going all the time, and there's beanbag chairs and bouncy things and balls that they can play catch with, where if the child just needs a break from the general ed classroom, they can go there for a few minutes with a parapro and then self-regulate, get ready to go, and go back to the classroom ready to learn. We use walk club. We have a walking club in the morning before school. Mr. Westerhoff picks up the kids. If they've been dropped off, they can come out of the gym and join, or if they're on the bus just sitting waiting for the bell, they can join him, and he walks them around the building a couple times, fresh air, and getting them ready to learn.
Well, I appreciate Mr. Westerhoff's commitment to do that, because you know, if you can get those wiggles out first thing in the morning, you know, get ready, get the blood flowing, and get ready to learn.
Something else that's become very popular in our building are visits from therapy dogs.
Oh, yes.
We have several teachers in our building who have dogs who are certified therapy dogs. Another principal, Jason Steyer, has a therapy dog. I have one right now in training that's hopefully going to soon be able to join us at Belle River, and they just change the tone when they're there. It's very calm. The children just love the visits from the therapy dogs.
And what do the therapy dogs do when they're there?
They'll go into the classroom with their handler, and typically the teacher or the handler will read a book, and then they'll talk, they'll ask some questions about it, and then the dog will just sit there and let them all give it a pet. Or I know that many therapy dogs are trained that if I were to go into a situation that needed some extra attention, they go with me, and for some reason they just have an immediate calming effect
On the students. Oh, isn't that neat? Yes, Jason Steyer, the principal at Riverview East High School, I know has a therapy dog there.
And he brings her to visit at Belle.
Oh, wow.
And a couple of our teachers, Kelly Robbins has a trained certified therapy dog. She's brought her to the building too. So.
Oh, that's neat. I know that anyone petting a dog, you just feel
Calm.
You just feel calmer. And I've seen instances where students read to animals because there's no
judging.
No judging, no expectations. The puppy is going to be just as happy with how the book is read as long as you're paying attention and reading to them. So, oh, that's neat. That's neat. Is there anything else that I wasn't able to cover today or ask about today that you would like folks to know about the social emotional learning that's going on in Pine River or Belle River?
Well, I think just having a growth mindset, it kind of is an underpinning of it, and it's the idea that things can be changed, behavior can be changed, academic proficiency can be changed, so we're focusing on improving constantly. So we know some students don't come to school having social skills or self-regulation perfected, and we're working on improving constantly, setting goals. And
that is an extremely important piece to this whole conversation, not only in the traditional learning, where people will say, I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at English. It's that growth mindset that you need to add the word yet on the end.
Yes.
I'm not good at this yet,
Yes.
but I'm working on it. So the social emotional, I might not be good at this yet, but I'm working on my regulation skills. I'm working on learning how to calm myself. Nothing is finite. We're continual learners. So thank you both very much for being here today and sharing this information. The social emotional learning is such a big part of where we're headed in education. So thank you very much.
thank
Thanks
you
for having us.
Yep. And thank you for joining us on East China Schools Today.